Yes, sir. Doing good, thank you.
He's got up against Vrabel. Every year he's been a head coach, twice last year. What do you think about Vrabel as a head coach and the job he's done there, especially in light of losing Derrick Henry?
Well, they are a reflection of who he is. I happened to be coaching at the Pittsburgh Steelers when he was a young player there. And he was a very selfless kind of player, the kind of player that you want on your football team. And his football team is a reflection of him. He was also very tough. It was always about the team. And his football team is a reflection of who he is, offensively, defensively, and special teams.
When you look at their front and Jeffrey Simmons, what are some of the things that makes him such a difficult blocking assignment?
Well, he may be, we've gone against Aaron Donald, and this guy right here is as good as Aaron Donald. He's one of the best guys in the league at doing that. And obviously the same thing with Aaron Donald. Try not to leave him in a situation where you're one-on-one with him very much. But he's a heck of a player.
What about you guys up front, your offensive line? What do you make of the physicality up front so far, and where do you guys get better?
Them or us, Brandon?
You guys.
Oh, us. We're gonna use the same line we had last game out. We'll start the same guys that we had. Justin's not quite ready yet, and Laramie's not quite ready yet. But the thing about what this team does is it brings out the physicalness in you. They're a very physical front. They play that way. They play that way defensively, and we got to match that, Brandon. We got to match that.
David, how frustrating is it?
Go ahead.
What do you need to see from Laramie to get back out?
Well, he's still going through the rehab right now, and he's still got to the point where he's deciding, do I wear a splint or do I not wear a splint? And right now, the big thing he's doing is just getting his strength back from a standpoint of him getting his overall strength back because of the injury, he hasn't been able to lift weights, those kind of things. It's almost like being on COVID and coming back and not being able to do anything. He's actually getting to that point where he's starting to lift a little bit now and get his strength back. And once he gets that back, it's just a matter of him being able to ready to go.
David, how frustrating is it then to come from Baltimore where you led the league in rushing, and no matter what you guys have tried, your running game is not where you want it to be? And do you have any hope for the rest of the season to run better?
I do have hope, John, and the reason I have hope is that after 9 ball games now, we've gone back and we looked and we tried to do some things that we felt like we were capable of doing, but because of certain situations, some being injuries and just not being able to get that consistency that we need there. But I think during the bye week when we went back and reassessed who we are and what we need to do to get that going more, I think we'll eliminate some things that we have been doing, as I said before, that weren't good and start doing the things that we feel like we were very, very good at.
Zach Cunningham has started and played the whole game against the Dolphins. What does he offer to the defense now that his role has increased?
Well, I mean, he's actually this past game he actually called the game too, which he hadn't been doing before. He's a heck of an athlete. He's one of our better players on defense. He's playing the last 3 ball games that he's played probably his best football this year. He gives us that guy in there that can get all over the place. He makes a lot of tackles. He's all around there, and I think his energy too brings a little bit more to us on our back end down there than what we've had.
Did that see any increase in how you saw how the run defense played in that game, and how have you seen that group as y'all prepare for the Titans?
Well, the thing that helped with our run game, especially this week against this team's going to run the ball. Regardless of whether Derrick Henry's there or not. They're going to run the ball. They're the number 1 leading team in the league in rushing attempts. And our up front having gap control, I thought was very, very critical for us to do that, especially with this kind of football team. And, we just got to have gap control. And having, Zach back there doing what he's doing, it allows him to be able to, when our up front are controlling the front, our linebackers to be able to get in those gaps and make plays on the other side of the line of scrimmage instead of on our side.
Personnel decisions with Jimmy Morrissey. What do you see from him so far, just as a young center, so glad one start?
I tell you what, he's jumped in there, Aaron, and just done a heck of a job for us. I mean, I'm talking about he's a very smart kid. He hasn't had a bunch of playing time. He went in there and he upheld his end very, very well in the last game, making calls, doing all those types of things, and we're very comfortable with him in there.
And Eric Murray, would you start him again at safety?
Eric Murray will start at safety.
When it comes to managing the game, how was your learning curve as a first-time head coach matched up to just what you anticipated it would be coming into this?
Well, there's been some things that have happened that I wouldn't say I wasn't ready for, but things that happened to me for the first time that, when it comes up, you got to have a quick decision on one way or the other. And when you go with it, you got to deal with it. And, some of those have been good. Some of them I wish I'd have had back. But I just think it's a learning curve as I move forward. Our analytics people do a great job of giving me situations through the week that I study that happen across the league that may or may not happen with you, but if they do come up, then we've kind of been over those things.
What's been your process for taking, when you mentioned some of the things you wish you had back, how do you kind of review those things? Who do you review them with, and kind of just make sure
Well, we review them with the whole staff. We go over those things. We look at those situations again and say, what would we do in this particular situation? This is what we did. This is what maybe we should have done. If we're in this situation again, this is what we'll do.
How did Terrence Brooks do in his recovery over the past couple of weeks, and how prepared is he to play, and what that can do for
Brooks, he did very well. He's practicing this week. He'll be limited, but we feel like he's back. It's just the fact that, he's been away for a while, and, getting his stamina back, making sure he doesn't bring it back too quick, too fast. But he's going to practice this week, and we'll just see how it goes. But he could possibly be ready to play for us.
We talked to Chris Culley the other day, and he mentioned some of the things where his position group has fallen short and went into great detail on some of the areas where they can get better. Is there another position group or an area that you can kind of pinpoint exactly where, hey, they can do this particular thing better?
Brandon, when you're 1-8, every group needs to be better, and all groups need to be better at what we're doing right now. There were some specific things, obviously, at that receiver group that they felt like that they needed to get better at, but that goes with all of our groups. I don't think any of us has done anything from a coaching standpoint and from a playing standpoint consistently as we want to do, and that we got to get better in all those areas.
What do you think will be the key for Tyrod to bounce back this week after this tough performance against Miami?
He's a 10-year veteran. He's been there and he's done that. He's had a game under his belt. It was 8 weeks before he had played a football game. He came back and played a football game, did not play very well, was not very sharp. That game obviously will help him. He's always been a guy that doesn't make the same mistakes twice, and I hope moving forward that's how we go with him.
What does Royce Freeman add to the running back? Royce Freeman, what does he add to the group? And obviously Scotty Phillips on the IR. What do you see out of that running group?
Well, he adds more depth. He gives us more depth. Obviously, he's been around a little bit, and obviously, if we feel like we need to go another back, we feel good about him being there. But he gives us depth.
A couple more. Other than Simmons, with having Harold Landry and also Dennis Hawker, what kind of front do you see from the Titans overall?
Very aggressive. Very aggressive. This team, you talk about Landry and Simmons. I think Simmons is as a defensive player, defensive lineman, he's leading the league in sacks at his position. Landry's also up there in sacks. That's a pretty good crew. And again, overall, that overall defense is very consistent and very good. They got a free safety back there. Yarley, that's a very good player, and this defensive team has scored 3 touchdowns this year. So it's a very formal group.
Danny, how have you dealt with the losing, and how have you helped your players and staff cope with how things have gone?
Well, basically, it's always the next game. We don't look at what's happened in the past. We came back off the bye week and we said, hey, look, what's happened in September and October and the first week of November is in the past. We got 8 games left, and we're looking forward to the next 8 games, taking them one game at a time. And we're not looking at it as a losing streak. We're looking at it right now as having a one-game winning streak and then moving forward.
David, if Titans decide to blitz you like the Dolphins did, what makes you confident that you'll handle it better in this game than you did that game?
Well, I think, too, I'm going back to Tyrod's first game back. We actually had some things ready for that. We didn't execute it quite as well. Fortunately for us, although they could do it, the Titans' defense is not a blitzing-type defensive team. They have it, and they're capable of doing it. But if they decide to do what Miami did to us, for running the zero blitzes and whatnot, we're ready for that. We're prepared for it at the time, but we just got to execute it. And I think we did it a couple of times, but actually a couple of other times we had a chance to beat it. We didn't beat it because we didn't make the throws or we didn't make the plays.
Coach, what went into the decision to play Lonnie Johnson Jr. last? He started off the year basically as a starter, but the last couple of games he's barely seen the field.
Well, we moved him back to corner, which is basically his natural position, and now he's basically having to relearn that again and getting acclimated to being a corner again. But we feel good about Lonnie being there as he starts to get more comfortable there. If we felt like we needed to play Lonnie within that group, we'd put Lonnie out there.
What made that decision to move him back to quarterback?
He was more comfortable there. I mean, he wasn't as comfortable playing safety. That's not a natural. That wasn't natural for him. And so he had been a corner before we got here. They moved him to safety, and then we tried him back there. In our scheme, it just didn't fit what he was athletically. And we talked about it and decided the best thing for him to do would be to go back to corner. And now that we've got him back there, I think he's comfortable there and will remain there.
Did you approach him? Did you approach him about that, or did you approach him?
No, we talked about it. We talked about it.
How soon could he see the field there?
Excuse me?
How soon could he see the field there?
Depending on what happens with injuries, he could see it at any time, you know. You're welcome.